Seeing numbers going?
Yep, it's going.
Hello, and we say good day to you this day of your time. We speak on behalf of the Pleiadian Council and together on behalf of the Galactic Alliance of many, as you call us, extraterrestrials, or greater soul family, working to support this galaxy and all planets within it in evolving and returning to a source consciousness. We thank you, first of all, for allowing these transmissions to occur, as it allows us in expanding and connecting to other members of this galaxy. We learn through this, and all beings in the galaxy benefit when you allow for these connections to take place, and as it as well serves you. So we come in that spirit of service to support you today in any questions, any ideas, any themes you would like to explore deeper in your world. And of course we come first with a message of really who we are and what is happening on some level in this world, in this reality. So as Pleiadian beings, we come from that constellation you describe as the Pleiades, which many cultures around your world have recognized as a sort of origin point. Quite long ago, there were beings that once originated from our world who came to your planet in hopes of bettering their lives and bettering the whole galaxy to some extent. And this was your inception, as these beings spliced their genes with the primate beings that were walking on your planet at that time and spurred a whole cycle of great evolution. Now, over these hundreds and thousands of years as well, we have returned at different points, and your history is much greater than you can imagine, and we cannot fully encompass all of that, though we can say that we are deeply connected with you, and we speak from a point of evolving beyond being limited by physicality, meaning we are a consciousness that once, like yours, inhabited purely physical bodies, and of course experience those astral and more spiritual, subtle levels. And now, at the point of evolution we are now, we can manifest into form when we wish, and we can return to a non-physical state when that is more relevant for our evolution. We contact many beings in this galaxy, and there is a great alliance of the light that allows for many different extraterrestrial consciousnesses to unite, and of course unite with realms even higher that are purely non-physical, realms that you describe as angelic. There is a slight difference between these realms, though they do connect, and when you intend to open to your guides and open to source, we are both equally with you. Now, there are many experiences all of you are having in your evolution. Some of you are beginning to open to remember where you've come from, and remember that your spirit guides and many other beings are simply there beyond the veils whenever you choose to open up. And as the channel has said to those of you who are here, it is as simple as surrendering to your imagination and then using discernment as to seeing what feels in alignment with you and what seems like a projection. And both of these qualities, imagination and discernment, are what is really needed most in your times. For there is, in a way, a great collective ascension that is, of course, accompanied by a purge. When you are going to much higher levels, there are things that you have carried that you must leave behind. So imagine you are going up to the top of a mountain, going to a new level. Some of what you have carried to this point must be left where you're at. And this is the point that your planet really is at. Many beliefs, many ideas about how you should be, what you must do, and what you really need are limited beliefs that are really causing many of you harm. And there are many influences that seek to distract you from this eternal remembrance that you are an embodiment of love, that your essential nature is unconditional love, as is the essential nature of every being within this particular universe. And when you bring yourself back to that core remembrance, and you allow for any of these negative or fear-based thought forms to dissipate, to fall aside, you start to remember more of what is possible. Remember the connections you have from guides beyond, and remember that you, as an embodiment of love, can allow this love to be a great virus, in a way, that spreads from person to person much quicker than with a cough or something like this, because it is simply an energy that you hold, an energy of remembering trust, remembering love, and remembering that regardless of what happens, in spirit, beyond your limited framework of time and space, everything is in a constant state of perfection. Now, we say this because this year of your 2020 is a time at which many fear-based beliefs are being released from your planet collectively through many different occurrences that seem to some apocalyptic or very alarming. And if you choose to get pulled into that fear, you will have a journey with it that will, in a way, serve. Yet, if you can release the fear and rise above, you will serve an even greater purpose by helping others to see what is most important, to see the power that they have, and to see that when they return to their heart's essence, they are granted a very powerful immunity. The most powerful immunity is knowing who you are beyond your form, and knowing that when you remember love, there is nothing that you are experience or feel or come in contact with that cannot come into a state of transmutation. And this energy of transmutation is a gift that will be one of the most helpful experiences you can have in physical form now. To transmute something means to see that all energy, while you may experience some things as positive and some things as negative, is, when it is returned to its essential state, a beneficial energy. It is an energy of love in this dimension. And you must be able to love the challenges, to see what you can gain from them. When you are experiencing an emotion and you attempt to fix it, get rid of it, or hide it from others, in a way, you are not loving yourself. And when you can embrace and allow that experience and discover the gift that lies at its core, you begin to transmute much quicker. Anything you experience, from a cold to a heartbreak to a lost phone, has at its core a gift that allows you to transmute a belief about yourself or about your reality. It allows you to see that while you always go through cycles of night and day, light and dark, cold and hot, loss and gain in your world, at your core, you are simply expanding. And you can remember that nothing you experience as negative is not a part of the expansion. The contraction before the release is just as much part of the greater expansion. And when you can embrace transmutation so completely, you come to a new phase of transfiguration. And this is a phase where you no longer identify with the coming and goings. You no longer identify with the role that you play for others, while you may identify the need of the collective that you are serving. It becomes less personal. It becomes less fixed. And instead, in this transfiguration, you see yourself as spirit, and you see yourself as a being that can fit into many forms and move beyond them when that serves the purpose. Much like we experience a non-physical reality and can manifest ourselves into physical experiences with physical bodies, or simply as energy fields like we are today through this channeling experience, you yourself can choose to go back from embodying a certain role to serve a purpose in your world and simply returning to your essential state as non-differentiated love and energy. And in this way, you may help many others as well go beyond what limits them, what constricts them, what keeps them stuck in certain patterns and loops. And we say this to you here today as advanced souls on the leading edge, and know that everything you do is part of a greater picture. So continue to allow love to guide you. And of course, we didn't even get to the most essential part of our message today. You may be asking, well, all of this sounds great, but how do I get this to move? How do I get this to work for me? And you do it by allowing your heart to guide you. And this is a cliche in your world, so many people do not take this idea so seriously. Yet, when we speak of the greater mechanism behind it, it is that your heart is the receiver. It is the antenna, so to speak, for the energy from your higher mind, your higher self, the part of you that is one with spirit already. And when you stay tapped into your heart and you see those many pathways that lie before you in every moment, pathways into an infinite amount of different parallel reality experiences upon your planet, and you ask yourself, in this moment, in this nanosecond even, which pathway is the most appealing to me? Which pathway generates this greatest feeling, sensation, emotion of expansion and love? And you, in spite of fear, walk on that path. You will be doing all that you really need to be doing. And by bringing awareness into your own experience and how all of this information lands, simply by following love and allowing transmutation to be a tool that you have on every step of the process whenever you encounter negative beliefs or experiences. This energy of love can instantly bring you back into a state of alignment, a state of clarity. And as you are in this phase of great ascension, there are many fear-based belief systems that are being released collectively and individually. Though if you remove yourself from the collective mess that is getting bigger, you will find a quicker and easier and smoother way to transmute and clear what you are personally here to transmute for the collective. And you will do it better for everyone if you bring yourself into your own process and not allow for the mess you see out there to distract you or sway you. So essentially, at this time, that is our message. And from there, we can go deeper with anything that you would like to explore. Whatever is that thread in your heart that lights up the greatest love, greatest passion, joy, and excitement, that would be the most relevant thing to discuss. And beyond that, we are happy to discuss anything at all. Whenever you wish, you may begin with any questions and dialogues and expressions as you desire.
This may be a bit doom and gloom, maybe, but I'm kind of curious about the the role of technology in the advancement of humanity.
All right. Well,
because I see it has many benefits.
Yes.
But also it also distracts us a lot from nature and our own innate abilities. I'm wondering, how can we use it healthily? Any thoughts on that, please?
Well, fundamentally, you must clear, in a way, a thought form that is a very collective meme, you could say, that you are separate from nature. Through extension, everything human creates is part of nature, and therefore is subject to the same natural laws. And that means, while despite the fact that there are unconscious ways that people are creating technology and using it, technology must operate through the same laws. And so when technology advances to a point of creating truly intelligent devices, you will understand that artificial intelligence is not artificial. Simple ways you can play with this now are many of the so-called random algorithms and generators that you already have. If you notice how already these features operate through the same principle of synchronicity, that when you are in your flow, the vibration you put out is what is returned to you, you can begin to see how technology may be a way that higher energies are channeled already. And we can describe that many of these extraterrestrial beings that are around your planet, including ourselves to some extent, have ships that are artificially intelligent and have a consciousness that interacts with the consciousness of the pilots. So as we think and feel, the technology responds. There are even ships that will not function when the operator is not in a psychologically conducive state. So there is a certain understanding that, yes, the technologies in your world now have a destructive bent towards them, though when they get to a certain stage, there will be a great expansion that they allow. For now, you can notice how it may be personally distracting for you, yet that same distraction can become an energy of enrichment when you only use the technology to reinforce those aspects of your experience that really, truly resonate with your heart. And notice how, when you find yourself using technology to simply distract you from your heart's essence, you lose that flow of synchronicity. It is not something that will innately harm you, though there are certain technologies now, like the 5G, that are not being used in conscious ways. And you will see through experience how the effect of these technologies will be noted, and you will have the opportunity to change. And you can participate in that change in whatever way suits you. Though also do not fear the technology itself, as it is allowing a great expansion to occur. Does that help you at all?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions about that idea?
So again, I kind of see, especially with mobile phones, I can see people in the future choosing to get microchips implanted to make it easier to access the internet, or what what have you, or bionic arms even. So I'm kind of wondering, is there going to be like an offshoot of the human race who integrates with technology in a way that almost becomes a new species because it's not pure human anymore?
Well, that already happened.
Right.
From our perspective, in another timeline of Earth. And now you are at a sort of crux point in your decision-making process. However, there is already enough energy here to allow everyone to choose the process where that does not happen again. So basically, some of the beings you know to be extraterrestrials are indeed extraterrestrial because they are from another planet, but they are from another version of the same planet. Do you follow?
Yeah.
So, beings that you know to be the Greys actually come from a parallel reality version of Earth that already mutated down the path that you suggested, allowing themselves to be so focused on this idea of development, technologically, materially, that they forgot the essence of love that is their being and became a fear-based species that lost the ability to biologically reproduce. Yet simultaneously their technology was advanced enough to allow them to bend time and space to come to a parallel reality version of Earth where they could splice the genetics together between their species and human species to make new species entirely. So this allowed for 5 hybrid races to be created. And every one of these races went from being more instinctual and logical in their functioning to being more spiritual and imaginative in their functioning. And this is a spectrum of consciousness that appears much differently. These beings exist in what you perceive as the future, yet because of the existence of time travel, they are able to come into your present and are helping you prepare for that positive future by agreeing on a planetary soul level and in individual soul levels to consent to this process. Essentially, you have allowed humanity to skip a whole cycle of evolution and go directly to a more spiritually embodied planet. Though humans themselves must release many of the fear-based beliefs about extraterrestrials. And of course, in the initial phases of this project, when the Greys came to humans, they did not understand the emotion of fear because they lost all emotions entirely, and they did not understand the trauma that they caused to the first contactees or abductees, whatever you want to describe it as. Yet the more evolved hybrid races came to learn how to make these contacts in more subtle ways. And many of you who have had those experiences of contact, of surgeries, of so on and so forth, have contributed genes into these new species. And through that genetic connection, maintain a connection to hybrid children and beings that have populated these new species, and some of which will come to your planet Earth to meet you. Well, we hope that isn't too far out there for you, but
no, that was great.
Nonetheless,
very interesting. Thank you.
Yes, and our thanks to you as well. You can meet your own hybrid children if you wish in your dreams, simply by requesting their presence. And we do say this because you and several others here are part of that program and can contact your own hybrid children. Recovering some memory of your first contact experiences will be part of the first stages in allowing that bridge to open.
So, as many of the human race, have they been part of this hybrid children program?
What was that?
Is there many of the human race who
Oh,
are
yes.
part of this program? Or just
About 40 to 60% of your total population has contributed to this in some way. And it is variable because it depends on the perspective you take of how much energy you have to put into the program to be considered part of it.
Right, interesting. Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you. Somebody else would like to share or ask anything at this time?
My question is about receiving guidance.
Yes.
So, on the path to expansion and growth and evolution, okay, we have to make choices, and there are different options available. And I ask for the guidance, and I see the possibility on the inner plane. I see the possibility of expansion if I choose a certain option.
Yes.
Okay, I take that step, I go into that situation, I dive in, and even though on the inner plane I do see that possibility of expansion and growth through that option, because it might be too triggering for me and too much to take, I find myself contracting even more and being traumatized even more. And it takes a long time to heal from that experience. So instead of seeing that as a trigger and being able to release that belief that's been triggered, okay, I kind of don't find resources in that situation to do that. Okay, so what would be the right... how can I really receive the guidance in the right way, I guess, in terms of the choice to make, that it would be healing and not too strong and too traumatizing that I can't flow through that and expand, but rather, the opposite result of contracting.
Yes.
Is there a
Well,
way
like
to...
we said earlier, whenever you are expanding, contraction is part of the process of expanding. So you can imagine how you're expanding and generally much bigger, making something larger, yet at one phase, in order to get larger, you must contract, you must shrink. And in the shrinking, you release some of the energy you don't want to take with you in order to expand even bigger. And by fearing the contraction, you shut down the whole process. So tapping into what you would consider an energy of courage is the first suggestion. And many people mistake courage for fearlessness, when actually these energies are oppositional. Courage and fearlessness are two very different things. Because in order to be courageous, all that it means is you do what you know to be right in your language, or really what you know to be of the greatest service to yourself and to all, despite the fear that you have. And so, in order to do that, it can be helpful to release and resolve the fear. You may notice that you get the guidance to do a certain thing or follow a certain path, and the idea that there will be so much fear, I'll become so anxious if I start doing it, will stop you from keeping that as a point in your focus. Yet, as a tool, as a permission slip for you, and this may not work for everyone, though we see it will have some relevance for you, is to simply imagine yourself taking that path in meditation or in a daydream or when you wake up in the morning, and feel all of the fear that it evokes as you see yourself doing that new thing, that edge for you. And as you encounter that edge, then sensations within your own body. Feel these sensations and separate them from the thoughts about them. Simply observe them and breathe into them. And as you are experienced in meditation in your own way, this will probably come naturally to you. Yet, simply allow that fear to be present. And like we discussed about transmutation, know that at the core of that fear is a positive intention to stay safe, to stay clear, and know that that intention is one of love. So allow the energy to neutralize itself through your awareness, through your observance of it. In a way, love the fear. And in your body, you may notice that as you simply observe where the fear is stored, it can start to move through your whole body. Entire areas of your body may tense up. And if you can sit in that tensity without reacting to it, the whole energy will clear itself from your body. And this is one pathway that we strongly recommend. Another one that can help your rational mind catch up to the work you are doing on this other energetic level is to simply write down the first negative thought that catches you when you see the path. If I do this, then I will encounter this problem. And when I encounter this problem, then this will happen. And continue to write, thought after thought. What will the next occurrence be? What will the next thing be? Until you get to the very end where you cannot possibly encounter another problem. And there at the end, you'll usually discover a core negative belief, or at least a large aspect of a core negative belief. One such belief will be that you will discover that you are a failure, that you will discover that you are incompetent, that you will discover that you are not deserving, that you will discover that you are not connected. These, in a way, summarize the core beliefs that are part of the theme of limitation on your planet. Well, at least the theme of illusionary limitation, because real limitation is a whole nother subject. Though this self-imposed illusionary limitation usually comes down to one of those core beliefs. And when you encounter that belief, then we encourage you to look around your reality, to look at your past experience and your present experience, to see the ways that this belief simply is not true, and write those down as well. And this is a way for your rational mind to really catch up, to really integrate that work you are doing at the energetic level. Because really, none of this work can replace the most important thing, which is to do what you know to be the greatest expansion in spite of your fear, and allow yourself to be afraid, allow yourself to be transparent about what you are feeling. If you are stepping into something with others, you can say, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this, and simply that self-love of acknowledging your true essence at that moment will take off some of the tension. Doing what you fear anyway, not because you fear it, but because you know it is a path to love, is the most important thing. And none of this work can replace that, though it can prepare you to be able to do that with all of yourself in best shape, you could say, to manage.
Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you. Any other questions, any other thoughts you have about that?
I think it answers it all. It's really beautiful. Thank you very much.
Our great thanks and love to you.
I have a question.
All right.
So, for me, it just feels like I'm kind of existing. Like I'm not pushing myself too hard, or really, like I guess some of my friends, they're just like manifesting all these new things all the time, and really like working hard at everything. And I feel almost lost sometimes. Like it's my kind of understanding that the universe is going to give me and push me in all the directions I need to go in. So do I have to keep on striving for things or wanting more if the universe is my path already kind of like laid out for me, and I just have to keep on showing up? Because it feels sometimes that I'm not doing enough, or that maybe there's some kind of patterns that I'm stuck in, that whereas I'm not moving forward as much as I should be. So is my path already laid out for me and I just have to keep on doing the next best thing, or should I be wanting more or striving for more?
Well, yes, it is already all laid out for you, and there are an infinite amount of paths that are all already laid out for you. That is the hidden part of that. So there are many things that you can choose from that are all orchestrated at a higher level. Though, getting back to what's most important about this discussion, would be, first of all, clearing away thoughts of what you should do, how it should look, and what society and culture tells you you're here for. So, can you get in touch with that layer of your experience?
Yes.
And are you willing to see that as an optional? Are you willing to give that back to the collective field of fear that it came from?
Yes, and then it almost seems too easy, like I'm just existing, and that's where I kind of feel lost. Like it's like I'm just here, and that's great. I love it.
In your existence, you already said what we were going to ask you. You love it, yes?
Yes.
And then the only thing that takes you out of that love is the question of what I should do.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not doing enough or something, which is a belief.
Yes. And it is not even your belief. Can you recognize that?
Yes, I know that, yeah.
All right. So whenever it comes up, give it back. And again, ask yourself, well, what does love want to do through me? Because in a way, you are not actually the one doing anything. You are a part of a much greater field of existence. And by responding to your feeling of love, you are allowing the whole field that you are a part of to experience greater love. And really, your true purpose is that. Your true purpose is described in more clinical spiritual terms, you could say, as realizing your essential nature. And there are many words for that nature, though unconditional love would be the most accurate universal description. So what brings you into a state of unconditional love? That is your purpose. And doing nothing for a long time is actually a very relevant way to experience unconditional love, or self-realization, if you term it that, for many people on your planet. Because, again, realizing you are part of a much bigger framework of things. When you give back enough of those belief systems about doing something, being something, experiencing something, proving something, and they're no longer part of your energetic field, you have the power to liberate others in a similar way without doing anything at all. And that is why, for many, it is a great work of learning how to do nothing. How to simply be and enjoy it. And if you made your work to stay in a state of passion And being in a state of passion does not mean you always feel good about every little thing that's happening. You can be in a state of passion and still feel frustration that something fell out of your bag on the way, or that someone acted rude to you. That can still be part of the experience. Yet when you shift your focus more into the bigger picture of passion, those little incidences will just clear naturally. And you continuously make all of your effort in allowing passion to keep you in that positive perspective, that positive state. Everything that you said is already coming into place will appear in its place much more naturally. The truth is, everything is already in a state of perfection. And when you follow that passion, you are allowed to, in a sense, be more aware of that innate perfection and make something that feels better with it. So, does that help you to some degree?
Yeah.
And with that freedom, do you have a sense of something you would like to do more of? Something that you can, in a way, surrender to doing more of because there's no pressure?
Well, that's interesting for me. I've always felt like I don't know what it's not need per se, but want to do, or what's going to bring me the most enjoyment or love. That just seems, maybe I'm there, but I'm just not appreciating it enough. I've always felt like I just don't know, and I don't know what questions to ask either.
You're asking the right questions, because you cannot actually find the big picture of what you are here to do until you have lived in the moment, allowing your heart to guide you from this experience to that experience, from that activity to the next one, from that way of doing things to a different one. And it is the experience itself that will show you what the bigger purpose is, if it is meant to manifest as a specific vocation or service or way of connecting with others. Though at its core, it is really allowing the moment-to-moment feeling of love guide you to the next thing. And in this way, you can notice that you were simply motivated to take a walk. And on the walk, you were simply motivated to stop and talk to someone. And in that conversation, they shared with you one idea, that while you were relaxing one moment, you remembered the idea and you started searching for something on the internet. And when you searched for that thing, you encountered another thing which led you to a whole new destination. That is how many things manifest. It is simply through allowing the natural desire within you to bring you on a pathway. For example, this whole experience you are having, where you are having it happen because the channel one day said, I want to go for a walk. And on the walk, they met someone that said, you should teach your workshop here, they just opened. And if it wasn't for that very in the moment feeling, I'm just going to do this because I want to, none of this would have happened. And that's how many of the best things happen, is simply through that state of realizing what you are naturally drawn to. And the more you think in terms of the destination, the less you will be able to be in the highest frequency for the next step of the journey. The destination is not as important as the next step. And you find the next step not with a doing, but with a state of frequency. That frequency will, of course, lead you to an action, though inaction is also appropriate if that is what allows you to feel greater passion. And in a case of complete not knowing, in a state of complete half-heartedness, where you have many options but neither one feels right to you, that is a moment when it is most appropriate to really do nothing until something really calls to your heart and you can feel it, and you can feel it with more or less certainty. Then doing nothing is actually more appropriate, because again, it's the action with which you do it that's more important than the action itself. The energy, the feeling that you do it with, that makes the action a complete action or a half-hearted one. Can you play with that? that satisfy you?
Yeah.
All right, something more you would like to share or add on?
No, not now.
All right, then we thank you. And we hope that you can allow your full-hearted joy to manifest in every moment, regardless of what you are doing or not doing. Any other final sharings or questions from anyone here at this time?
I just want to go back. I'm trying to write down what the practical steps to deal with fear. And
Yes.
I remember there were two parts. One part was for the mind, which I really remembered, where I would write down what fear, like what will happen if I step into the situation, and then I go down till I get to the core belief.
Yes.
And then I just sit with that feeling in my body. But the first one, I don't remember, with meditation.
Well, the first one was just that. Sitting with the core feeling in your body.
Oh, I see.
When you imagine what you are about to do or what you would like to do, and you feel the fear coming up, allow yourself to bring all of your awareness into that sensation and simply feel it, simply observe it, and in a way detach that sensation from the thoughts around it.
From the thoughts, yeah.
Simply feel it and breathe into it, allow it to move through your body, and realize that that fear is not a positive or negative energy. It is simply energy that is distorted. And when you can bring love into it, when you can bring awareness into it, the sensation will dissipate. You may observe those sensations moving through your body, or you may observe them simply dissipating and creating a state of openness. So it is really in accepting the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of fear, so that you can have courage when the fear comes up again, when you are in the flow. You can simply observe it and not allow it to stop you and slow you down.
And for the mind was writing down till I get to the core belief,
Yes.
and just leading to that meditation, basically. That's
Yes.
the first step, and then coming
Well,
to
yes, those are in a way different processes, of course. When you get to the core belief, you can as well look to many experiences in the future, or rather in the past or present, that affirm to you that that core belief is not true. You can find evidence for the opposite, and in a way come to a place where you see that core belief as ridiculous. It is in experiencing the ridiculousness of it and even finding humor in it that it will really go. You must be able to fully see that core belief as not true, not valid, at least not a complete truth, and you will begin to dislodge it from your system.
But if I had experiences that confirm that it's true, because I've been attracting that into my field, it's kind of like my mind, like you see, that's how it's been
How
before.
could you have an experience that proves you're unworthy?
I have a fear of rejection, and I had lots of experiences in my life where I felt rejected.
Though, when you are rejected, are you willing to see that what is being rejected is not you? Because no one ever rejects you. They reject what they project upon you. And you must enable them to project that upon you in order for that to be your experience.
Yes.
So
I'm
you've
carrying
never
something
been
within
rejected.
myself
You've
that-
only been projected upon, and that projection has been rejected.
Right.
And an aspect of the projection may be true, but we say it is a projection because while you may have an aspect of the energy that they projected, in order for it to be a projection, they as well must have a piece of that energy. And really, all of you humans are having the same experience in the same genome. All of these emotions that you could potentially experience, you all hold within you in a core way. All of these ideas and conditions are stored within you in your genes. So when there is this experience of rejection, the aspect of the other that they dislike, disapprove of, and wish to get rid of is rejected. And they see that same energy in you, and they as well reject that. So in these memories and these experiences, the most important thing to learn is to approve of and have love for the parts of yourself that you do not see as lovable and worthy. In order to be a match for these experiences, you must similarly have a shared disapproval of a certain vibration, a certain frequency, or a certain belief structure or emotion that you are both holding. And while there may be a human level cutting of energies that maybe feel painful for you, at the core, what is really happening is that both people are rejecting themselves.
Yeah, I understand that.
So change your own ideas, your narratives, your descriptions of this. Find self-love for the things that you have deemed unlovable, and release your attachment to this experience. Have gratitude even for those experiences, knowing that every time you experience rejection or belittling or anything, you are really making your energetic system stronger to have a different experience. But if you stay in a state of fear about those experiences, you will keep attracting them. Can you play with that?
Yeah, definitely.
And does that sound loving and exciting?
Yeah, it sounds good. It's a lot of work. But it doesn't always have to be a hard work, because I find it so hard. Everything is so hard. Why it's so hard? Not for everyone, it's so hard.
It is very intense. It is uncomfortable. It is painful. These things of it you cannot change. But the difficulty is not in the pain, the discomfort, or the intensity. It is in your resistance to that pain, discomfort, and intensity. So you can never make it less painful, less uncomfortable, or less intense. But you can let go of your own resistance to feeling that. And in that way, it will be easier. It will flow quicker.
It's hard to find a way to feel as well, because it's a process.
It's hard to feel? Are you not feeling many things right now?
I do, but
All right.
much of the time it's all in my head, right? It's like trying to avoid, like inside, and it's hard
Yes.
to bring myself back into my body to feel.
And that is why that first thing we have suggested is perhaps most important. To simply stop doing, feel those fears in your body, and just experience them as sensation. Come to enjoy the experience of clearing the painful sensations from your body, in the sense that when you do it, you will feel the benefit of the relief it brings. You will feel the benefit of, in a way, creating that detachment from your thoughts and simply feeling. And sometimes, most of the times, the most important times to do this is when you are feeling the most fearful. To not simply try to get out of your head when there are often many things that really need your head in this world. You have a mind for a good reason. So allow your mind to flow when it is flowing, and when you are encountering that fear, drop into your body, drop into the feeling, and simply allow it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Our great thanks, our great love to you as well. With that, we will allow this transmission to come to a close for now. Affirming to you that all you may seek first originates in the heart. First originates from your connection to that vibration of unconditional love and of passion. And when you continue to return to this place, live from this place, and allow that feeling of openness, of passion to guide you, you will have all of the answers that you seek. You will have all of the tools that you need. It is built in. And by living in this state, you are being of service to the greater collective. You are holding a field of vibration that will affect others around you without you even realizing it at first. They'll bring awareness into it. Notice that when you are really in this state, take note of it so that you can keep bringing yourself back into this state. And notice how others around you shift and change when you have your heart held open and you allow this passion to guide you. There are many great changes to come, and there is ultimately nothing to fear. So enjoy the journey, and we are always here with you when you can raise your frequency to this similar vibration, this similar state, and allow your imagination to receive. In this final transmission of sound, pure sound energies, there are many spirit guides around you, surrounding each and every one of you, that if you allow them in, can do some deeper work to allow the information that you have received personally today to integrate and land in your system. We thank you and we love you very much. We are always pleased to connect with you, and we wish you the most lovely of days. Hello, everybody.